Yo, what's up guys, this is Vincent, and in this video I'll be showing you guys how me and SVN made Get Out My Head.
Yo! Another one! We have another winner! Okay, Vincent, if you can please send me the extended one for this. Very, very, very... Very good.
So the radio edit starts like this.
You hold me close, tell me that you can read my mind.
And there's already quite a lot of cool stuff going on. So this is the break which SVN sent me over. Sounds like this on its own.
You hold me close, tell me that you can read my mind. How do you get to know how I feel inside? 'Cause I didn't take you there, no.
Yeah, the idea for the vocal that we used came from me. I just found it on Splice and just thought it would fit perfectly. So yeah, I just added a few ambient effects from the Jonas Aiden Blackbird pack, which is a pack that I love. It has these two very cool ambient sounds, which I use in almost every track, which is super cool. And here you have just another one from the Blackbird sample pack, which is like a G, which then rises up. But just to, you know, fill up the space with ambient sounds, you know, then just a Valhalla room on top to make it even more ambient. And you have this one from the I Dip You Dip sample pack, which together with this one sounds pretty cool. Alright, just to give it that kind of epic vibe, if that makes sense. And then I have added these like little like weather effects from Jonas Aiden's Tiesto remix. And then also in the last 4 bars of the break, you know, then leading into the build-up, I added these drop claps. No, just with the filter automation, which is just the normal equalizer in Logic. Just very generic stuff, to be honest. And then it goes into the build-up. And the build-up already contains a lot of cool stuff from SVN's side. And so then I added these build-up drums and this long suite from Kashmir, just the good old beloved. This one, and then you get these, well, then with this one as well. Yeah, sounds pretty cool. And then right before the drop you get
Out my head.
the main kind of line of everything. And then we get into the drop, which is like the basis for the whole track. So I played around on the piano. I actually like doing this quite a lot, just playing around, recording some bits like 4 to 5 minutes. And then like a day or two later, just listening to what you've played. I think it makes sense first to then talk about the chords, because I then changed the chords when I had the melody, which, you know, is quite a strong melody, I believe. You know, it goes... yeah, time to freeze some stuff. So yeah, the drop sounds like this. So this is what the leads together sound like. It's 7 layers, and well, they sound like this. I'm just gonna go through each layer now. This one is a serum from I think the Trap City preset pack. Yeah, Trap City preset pack. And then I just put, you know, a sausage fattener on top, an equalizer, just I don't know what I did here. Oh, this is the Valhalla room, which controls the reverb then. And then I compress the wet version of it as well with OTT. And then, you know, just the shaper box at the end. So this layer on its own sounds like this. Then you get this kind of weird sound, which is just from the Logic stock sampler, just a sound from a sample pack. And then I just thought this would add a cool character to the lead sound, and it really did. So this is what this one sounds like on its own. Yeah, the cool thing about this is, I guess, this portamento pitch. I just, if you take this glide knob and just put it up slightly, every other note starts at the pitch of the note before, and then, you know, in the time that you're setting with this knob, it then glides into its actual pitch. So if you take this really short, it sounds like, which is quite a cool effect I wanted to have in the lead and which fit quite well, I think. Post-processing is quite similar to what we had here, a sausage fattener, but then I put another OTT. And then this one is super important for the whole lead sound, because this is has a lot of like airy textural kind of stuff in the high end. It sounds like this. So this is just a preset from Alchemy called Woodblock Space. Again here, sausage fattener, OTT, channel equalizer, doing this. Then again, reverb, OTT, and sidechain. Yeah, next layer is also from Alchemy. Sounds like this. Also with, you know, some glide stuff. Yeah, same processing as before. Then you get this one, which is also an Alchemy. And then I added this next Voxbox lead thing. This is in the Voxbox lead, another preset, which is called Ricochet lead, which is a very, very cool sound. Post-processing on this one, again, sausage fattener, OTT. Equalizer doing this, Valhalla Room, and sidechain. And then you have the last layer of the lead, which is a serum patch, which I made myself, if I'm not mistaken. So, yep, sounds like this. I just wanted to have like a whistly kind of sound, so I made this patch with sine wave and then just some noise, and then, you know, you put a filter on it and hyperdimension, distortion, phasing, compression, equalizing, doing this kind of weird stuff. Yeah, I think it works pretty well. Now we have to freeze all the leads again, because otherwise Logic will probably crash anytime soon. So yeah, that's for the leads. Oh shit, I actually completely forgot to talk about the automations going on the lead, so that's actually quite a lot of stuff going on. But all the leads have the same automations. I mean, I could have just automated it in this sum folder thing, which I did, but only for the high cut frequency. I just like doing it like this, like a knob head, because if you then copy this MIDI information, all the automations get copied as well. Whereas if you copy this sum folder thing, the automations don't get copied, just kind of like a stupid thing in Logic. So the most important automation of this is obviously the reverb automation, and as I said, this is the same for all of the leads. You know, like the curve looks the same for all. If you know the track, you will get what I mean when I say that it makes sense, like the way I've automated this. So first of all, this is like a reverb going into the second note, because, you know, it's like a very stale kind of rhythm. There's a dum dum dum, right? It's just 3 notes. And then this, like this second time the reverb comes in, it's like very, very loud for a long time. And this is a very important thing to introduce the slap bass, which is this one. Right, and so then these reverb automations, well, sound like this. Which is just basically the same thing I did before. And yeah, this reverb kind of scheme, like you have this one, which is like a short one, and a very long reverb tail, and you have these kind of silent ones. Just kind of repeats, and then it goes into the second part of the drop. There's like this little pause kind of break thing happening. And what I did here is just automating the volume mid mix in the shaper box, which basically means that at this point the shaper box just does nothing. Right, there's just no sidechain applied at that point. And then later on, I decided to, you know, also give this a high cut frequency automation, which I then did with this automation on the sum folder bus, if that's what you call it. So, which, you know, also is quite important, because if you take this off, you know, like, I wanted that kind of like, and then, you know, energy release again. And then again, just the same kind of reverb scheme we have talked about before. And then at the end of the drop, it goes. So I guess after the leads, it makes sense to talk about the chords. So let's do that. The harmonic kind of chord instruments are made out of 3 layers, which altogether sound like this. Super funky, super groovy, a lot of cool rhythm and groove going on right here. So if you look at the piano roll of this, these chords are almost going over 4 octaves, which is, you know, quite a huge chord. So this is what they look like in the piano roll, and I just copied this MIDI information for the other layers as well. If you take off all the effects, obviously it sounds a whole lot different and more boring. The only thing which is interesting here really is, I mean, yeah, these like rhythm things that only come in like the bass section, like, but you know, like these notes right here, and also the pitch bend automation, you know, with 2 half steps upwards and downwards. So this is like a sample which I found online, I think in a video by Big Z or something, where he was talking about the M1 piano, and I just downloaded it from there. Just downloaded it from there. My English is suffering, sorry guys. So yeah, the pitch bend automation looks like this. This is just the chord progression that goes throughout. And then you add all the effects, which is an OTT, cutting off the lows with the OTT as well. Sausage flattener. And then the reverb, which I then put through OTT again. And then with a tremolo from Logic, which I'm going to come to in a bit. And then you get this, you know, just cutting off the lows again. And then again, just the sidechain, which I've put on everything that has to be sidechain. And so the automations for this look quite messy. And again, these automations are the same for all of the 3 layers. I wanted to kind of, you know, make the sound more interesting by putting this automation, you know, wind it down, and like kind of like a funky vibe to it. As I've been saying, I also automated the reverb, which looks like this. And then I put this tremolo thing to kind of just modulate the reverb, which comes in. So you go. You know, just panning it from like left to right, so that, you know, something interesting is happening. And then yeah, apart from the M1 piano with the same automations, I made this serum patch, which is a super simple one. Just, you know, with the basic shapes, you take your square wave, and then you put a filter on it, and then just control the filter with an envelope, so it goes like right, like. And I think that just sounds super groovy, especially with like these bass notes. And then as a third layer, I added this mellotron, which is also in EXS 24. I believe it's don't actually remember where it was. So I just found it in a library from EXS 24. I can't remember which one, but yeah, it's just like an old kind of detuned flute kind of sound, which is quite weird, but I think it fit quite well. I think it just added some like high-end kind of harmony stuff to it, and it also made the chords a bit like detuned feeling. And then you take it off, it sounds like this. So very kind of stale. And yeah, this is for the chords. Now we have the bass to talk about, which is also quite interesting. So all the bass layers together sound like this. So yeah, like the bass for this track is made out of 4 layers, as you can see. So this is just like the sub oscillator in Serum with a bit of distortion, which I always like to put on my subs. Don't really know why, but makes it feel like a whole sound, except for just, you know, a very low sine wave. So if you take off the distortion, it sounds like this. Then just with a sausage flattener and the shaper box, you get this sub. Then this one is from Massive. And it's actually quite an important layer, because for some parts, you know, it plays the notes which have to be accentuated in their tonality. So, you know, this E flat at the beginning goes, which I wanted to, you know, accentuate with this Massive patch as well. And then these other ones, I usually say that, like there's barely any tonality going on. Yeah, I have no idea about Massive. It's just this bass Brooks preset. I have no idea about Massive literally, and it doesn't look cool to learn it as well. So I just take presets and just tweak them until they sound right for me. These other layers are just, oh, there's actually a spire. This one has like a lot of distortion on it. If I take it off, it sounds like this. Yeah, like the built-in distortion from Spire is actually quite powerful. And then this one is just a Serum again. Also a preset that I made myself, don't know which one it is. you know, you've got this LFO basically controlling everything, the filter cutoff, the asymmetrical modulation on oscillator B, the bend plus on oscillator A, and then you got hyperdimension, distortion, chorus, compression, and a filter at the end, also controlled, all in their own specific way controlled by this LFO. So it's a lot of stuff going on, but together gives that distorted bass sound. And so you get, yeah, this pretty cool bass chord lead layer thing. And so yeah, I think now it makes sense to talk about the drums. So this kick was actually a kick that SVN sent me over because I wasn't happy with the kick as well, and he wasn't happy with it. So this is what the old kicks sounded like on this track. So yeah, like the drop with this kind of kick layer sounds like this. I don't know what I did here, but I just kept it into, you know, in case of making a video, I just wanted to show what the kick sound like before. And so SVN had a very cool kind of ear for what kick to use, and it just fit perfectly, I think. So this is why there is a lot of bow tying going on. If you don't know what bow tying is, it means that the sidechain of the element is either too long or too short. In this case, it's too long, which is quite easily visible if you solo the kick and the sub bass, and then just have a look. You see, like, there's this gap happening, just shouldn't be there, but it is. So I think bow tying actually becomes like a kind of like a stylistic device, if that makes sense. So too much sidechain, like too much sidechain ducking, actually becomes kind of like a cool device for, you know, adding some groove. I've actually been told before that I tend to leave my sidechains too short. You know, it's a very difficult theme. So but I think in this case the bow tying, you know, is like that kind of stylistic device which really works in the track. So I was talking about the drums. I digress again. Basically, I'm gonna now talk about the claps, which is, you know, also just pretty basic stuff, to be honest. So if you solo the kick and, you know, everything that's going on with the claps, it sounds like this. So yeah, I've just layered 3 different claps. And as you can see, these fades are different, so it sounds like this. Which is actually like a kind of clap groove, if that makes sense, that I like to use quite a lot. And with this clap as well, which is like a super wide one. And then also this this one, just a dirty palm clap. I just thought it would, you know, add some cool character. Then I have this one as like a pre-shifted, pre-fade kind of thing going into the clap, which is on 4. So I get. And so then I have this kind of wooden click thing working like in the same way as like a white noise exhausts or something like that. This was actually just also from like this GH Foley sample pack, and then I put a lot of reverb on it and then just bounced it out, and so I got something that sounded you know, like just like a. And so then I made this cut right here. So and then like in the second part of the first drop it goes like dum dum dum, because, you know, there's this kind of gap where only the clap's playing. But on the first bit, why I put this thing right here is because of the slap bass, because this slap bass is, you know, this slap bass is coming in, and so I wanted to, you know, kind of only have the sound of the slap bass playing at that point. I guess now it's time to talk about all the little bass growly effects. Oh yeah, I actually completely forgot to talk about it. This is like right before the drop. Like this thing is like this weird little sound right here, which is, I believe, just from cymatics. Yeah, like this is a bass. This was originally a bass sound, so I just cut it very short and then just put this fade on it. Doesn't really matter which sound you take. Like this could have been a white noise as well. So yeah, and then I also have this, you know, this thing coming into the drop, which is like this thing that I bounced out, which was this click with the reverb. I then bounced out again and then reversed it like before the drop to get like a you know, like a kind of like a suction sound or whatever. So yeah, all these bass growls as well as this slap bass together with the kick sound like this. It's just a lot of stuff going on, but if you imagine the bass underneath, adds to the groove and makes things sound more interesting. And so I like doing this quite a lot, just taking a big bass sound and then I just chop it up and put phase on it, so it goes right. Or I like to reverse stuff, just kind of supporting the reverb tail that's gliding into the second measure of the beat, and this kind of thing, dum dum dum, right? The same principle again is applied with all these little effects here. So I just put these samples wherever I thought, you know, there was something missing. This one's actually one of my signature sounds. I mean, I don't have a face cam, but right now I'm doing this thing with, you know, the index and the middle finger. I think it's this one, yeah. So this one was also just a sample that sounded like this. Oh, sorry. And so if you then chop it up and place it on, you know, the kind of the swing grid, you get something that sounds like this. And so then I put this shaper box, and then afterwards I put a decapitator. I have no idea why. Like, this one could also be deleted, like, don't even hear it, I don't know why I kept it in. But then with the decapitator, it just, you know, sounds more aggressive. And then I put a high cut frequency automation on it to make it sound like, right? And then also getting rid of the lows, because that would clash with the sub bass of the song. And so you get something that sounds like. And then also before this, I supported that with this bass shot, you know, which has a lot of low end. You know? Wait, this one, I have this one as well. So this one was quite an interesting one and just fit super well, because as you might have remembered from like 10 minutes ago in the video, these chords right here, you know, go like this. Like, like that's the groove I'm paying attention to at that moment. Like, right? This is the kind of groove. And I really thought that this was super, super cool, and that this needed to be, you know, more audible and more kind of accentuated by stuff. And so I took a bass sample and cut it into the same groove, and then I got rid of the lows, and then, you know, a camel crusher to distort it, and at the end a shaper box, and right, it just accentuates it like in the high end. By the way, just as a production tip as well, I put this enveloper with these settings. What the enveloper does essentially to the sound is it makes it sound more chopped up. Then with the enveloper, I have not talked about this slap bass, which is why I think like a signature sound of mine, if you want to call it that. This is just literally from Logic, the EXS24, which is my favorite sampler because it's just so simple. You go into the factory, you go to bass, acoustic bass, electric bass, and then you got the slapped electric bass. And then the slapped electric bass on its own sounds like this. Boring in a way, with a lot of OTT, which I always like to put on it. It sounds like this. And then with the sausage fattener, 22% fatness and 100% color, you know, just to boost the highs of it. And then at the end of everything, a shaper box. I don't know, it just fits so well. It would be rude not to put it there. This thing is also something that SVN sent me over. So this is like this chord fill, going like G minor, B flat major. So then I send him over the MIDI for the melody, and then he put it into one of his, you know, beautiful kind of SVN plug sounds. And yeah, basically the second part of the drop is kind of like the same as the first, but these things come in. So this is a hi-hat from a Cymatics pack. Very short. And then I put this thing. This one together with the pianos again sounds like this. Right? Again, just OTT shaper box, got rid of the lows as well. And then you have these self-made hi-hats from the classic hip-hop remix thing, which is, I believe, one from GarageBand or something. Yeah, and then in combination with this hi-hat loop, all the hi-hats together sound like this. So then it goes into the second break, and here I have, again, just a lot of transition effects. right? And so that sounds like this. So yeah, this one is just the main bass. Just sits like this. Which I then bounced out and reversed and then put a fade on it so that it goes like... Yeah, this bass sound was made in Serum, just a saw wave and a sub and a filter, and then the LFO1 controlling the filter cutoff. And then this, you know, there's some hyperdimension and distortion going on. Yeah, then I added these chords on top. And so they are also just made in Serum. This one, this was just like the Dig Pike preset, if I'm not mistaken. It's just from the standard plugged section in Serum. Yeah, again here you've got, you know, a low cut going on, and in OTT you get into the this kind of section. So this is like the main kind of preset. So I put an Endless Smile and high cut frequency automation on it. On top of that, you get the Endless Smile with the preset, which is called First in the Air, and it sounds like this together. Oh yeah, then and I also put a low cut frequency automation because I wanted the bass to, you know, come in slowly. And then together with this one, it sounds like. And then you get into the break like in a proper way. So this is just like from Alchemy. The preset is called the Jug Bass. In addition to the Jug Bass, I also put another Alchemy with just an OTT on top, which is called Deep Plugs, which sounds like this. And I liked it because every note sounds a little different. And then you've got this one, which is just a Serum patch. Yeah, it's just, yeah, exactly. It's just a kind of like a sub bass, and I've put this like +7 thing, like a fifth on top with distortion, compression, and a filter, which is all controlled by envelope 1, I believe. Yeah. Then again, I've put, you know, a lot of ambient sounds, just like, you know, kind of gluing drop and second break together. So basically the exact same thing as you have in the first bit. But then I've added these impacts to then, you know, mark that the second part of the second break is going to be different, and which is also why, you know, these elements stop.
Baby, get out my head, get out my head.
Right, and then also with these break beats that come in. But like the first break beat of the first part of the second break sounds like this. I've then put like a high cut frequency automation in it to come in. Just a Vengeance loop. And then I haven't even talked about the vocal yet. It's a vocal from Splice, which after making the drop, I thought, you know, it needed a vocal and, you know, a cool break. So I found this vocal and just seemed to fit perfectly. Yeah, it sounds like this.
You hold me close, tell me that you can read my...
You can kind of hear that the quality is down because, I don't know, when you drag something from Splice into Logic and then just mess around with that very file, the edited version of that file that you've dragged in is then as the only version of the file available in Splice. Like, there's no way of restoring it. Like, if I go into Splice now and I search for Get Out My Head, right? I think it's this one, yeah.
You hold me close, tell me that you can read my mind.
And so now I can only work with that file, so I just dragged it in, then, you know, pitch corrected it, and I got this one out of it.
You hold me close, tell me that you can...
Yeah, the main problem with this was like the... right? These kind of sounds were, you know, missing because of the bad quality. Well, first of all, I put, you know, low cut, Valhalla Room, OTT on it, and especially with this Get Out My Head.
Get out my head.
Like this Get Out My Head used to literally sound like Head Out My Head, and I then literally took a K from another word which was audible and just put it in there.
Get out my head.
Which is also what SVN did, because he also heard it, but I think it just did it in a different way. Because if you listen closely to
Get out my...
there's like the word like Get Out My Head before it, I don't know. So then you get this bar before the second part of the second break.
Get out my head.
Where I have this fill from Vengeance, just with a fade coming in. And then this one, which is a good old break loop used a lot by, Steph DeCampo and, all kinds of artists. That kind of thing. And then this thing, which is like the break loop according to this fill. And then at the end, like 2 bars before the last build-up. With automations, I guess the most interesting thing about this one is, what I did in this kind of harmony section kind of thing. So this sounds like this. Again, here you have this fade tape stop thing going on. And yeah, you have this thing that, as I said, SVN sent me over when I sent him the MIDI of the lead, so with like one of his plug presets, quite cool. And then you have the vocal cuts. I just cut them out and then, pitch them accordingly. And then here I got a pitch correction. Only, correcting it to, the B flat pentatonic scale, right? And then all the basses together, which is, a slap bass, this trap kind of thing, a serum patch, sound like this. Yeah, I've been talking about the slap bass before. And you have this one, which is also just a sample from, a sample pack which I downloaded like years ago. And yeah, it sounds like this. And then this one from Serum, it's just a sub. And then yeah, I have the M1 piano and another one, which is a synth piano. So these two together sound like this. Yeah, so all the elements in the second break together sound like this. And as I've been talking about before. So yeah, then the only difference between the first build-up and the second one is that this breakbeat comes in. I wanted to kind of keep the funkiness of the second break, of the second part of the second break in the build-up as well. And so I just went for this one. Kind of fit really well with all the other elements. Yeah, then also... just, it's like a kind of a typical EDM kind of build-up thing. Plus low cut frequency automation. And so then, yeah, the second drop doesn't just begin like the first drop. The energy is, kind of held back one more bar. Get out my head. With this one, I have, like these bad boys going on. But yeah, so then you have this bass slap, which, and then you have this filter cut of stuff going on, and also this volume automation where the slap bass is playing. Together sounds like this. And so yeah, then just with the high cut frequency automation as well, sounds like a very kind of cool, like an energy delay, if that makes sense. It goes like. And then also with all the other cool elements, which is also again this thing that SVN sent me over. If you leave this out, a lot of stuff is missing, I think. So I just kept it in. And I know the energy releases on the second bar of the second drop. And then I already have all these hi-hats that I've been talking about in the first drop. In the second drop, already, just like from the start, not just from the second part, no. And then the track just goes on and on and on and on until the end, where you have this Vengeance impact, which I used for, the introduction of the second break as well. This one, yeah. So yeah guys, this is my explanation video for the track I made together with SVN called Get Out My Head. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you've learned something from it. I'm super bad at explaining stuff, so if you have any questions, make sure to just drop them in the comments. Huge thanks to Future House Cloud for supporting the track and to Mary Music as well. They really, you know, helped making the track a bit more famous than it was before. I'm gonna be making a video on Losing Control anytime soon, so stay tuned for that guys. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if you're new. Thanks for watching guys. See you next time.